automatic 45 gun. They had just come up from California where they'd shot 6 cops for fun. Jake, he thought it was the best there was down the interstate he saw, till the day he tangled with the county sheriff, who they all call 104. It was late on a Thursday evening, and Jake, he was feeling kind of mean, cause he'd just run out of his favorite drug, you know, the one called amphetamine. So we sauntered up to Petula, and it said, say, baby, let's split. There's a little gas station on down the road that might be fun to hit. So they drove up to the station, and they both jumped off of Jake's ride. They were up to derision at Jake's decision as they both sauntered to the inside. The attendant, he was an old man, and you know he didn't think it very funny. When Petula pulled out that great big gun, said, honey, give me all your money. Well, the old man opened up the cash drawer, and Jake grabbed the money and ran. With Petula out the door to the big chopped holler that was parked on the center kickstand. Then they headed out for the 4-lane, and they thought it was lots of fun. With Jake on his hog, with Petula the dog, with the automatic 45 gun. Jake, he thought it was the best there was, just down the interstate he saw, till the day he tangled with the county sheriff, who they all call 104.
Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give a buck or two. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you The World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
I'm James Creechbaum with the Paranormal and World Changes News. While a medieval prison that is now Britain's most haunted house finally sells after 12 long years on the market. After remaining unsold for 12 years, the real estate agent which put the 2-bedroom property on the market last year said it has now been sold. She also said that it's so haunted that one specter even slapped her bottom and she was eventually forced to flee the house. Also in the news, a gigantic triangular UFO was spotted above Texas days after the New York sighting. Now the huge object slowly moved across the nighttime sky on New Year's Day, and has been a startling similarity to a so-called UFO seen above the U.S. state of New York just days before. A study claims from scientists that they have debunked the dark energy theory. The controversial new study has suggested that the hypothetical form of energy may not actually exist at all. Thought to be responsible for the continued acceleration of the expansion of the universe, dark energy has been a staple of astrophysicists for years, despite having never been directly detected or observed. Also in the news, a mystery of weird hum heard around the world has been solved. Mysterious seismic hums detected around the world were likely caused by an unusual geologic event, the rumblings of a magma-filled reservoir deep under the Indian Ocean, a new study has found. Also in the news, one of the world's largest freshwater fish may be the first official extinction of 2020. One of the largest freshwater fish in the world that may be extinct is the Chinese paddlefish. And according to the scientists, They believe it has started to go extinct sometime between 2005 and 2010. The fish was once common in the Yangtze River in China. The researchers wrote that overfishing and habitat fragmentation sealed the species' doom. Also in the news, Alaska volcano spews up ash. Now, ash cloud in 2 strong bursts. Alaska also at the Aleutian Islands spewed ash into flight paths, prompting a warning to pilots by the National Weather Service. This erupted at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, and Alaska Volcano Observatory announced. The next news break will be tomorrow night.
You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with our host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. Our guest tonight is Tom Whitmore. Tom, are you still with us? And, well, let's make sure I turn your audio on your end. Now,
yes, I'm here, Gary. And thank you for having me tonight.
Well, you're a great guest. I mean, you have a lot of views that a lot of people share. And, you know, it's good to have somebody who's doing what you do to try to document and find documents to, you know, verify a lot of this stuff. Now, again, before we went on break and with the news, what do you feel? What, you know, the question I had before we went on.
Well, I guess the first question is, if we put ourselves on the other side of this, on the government side, and if it's reasonable to expect that this UFO problem is real and it's they've recovered craft and bodies and all of that, first of all, how do you tell the public that you've been lying to them for the last 70 years? That's a problem. Secondly, if the UFOs are of ET origin, presumably, how do you really get the public used to that idea? I mean, really, because there's a difference between watching movies about it or even reading books about it. But when it's really, truly confirmed that it's real and that people, they have to face up to it, I think there's a great deal of concern about the unknown, about what the reaction really, truly would be. I think that's a problem. Also, you have complexity. There could be a number of different groups visiting the Earth. And whoever is in the know knows a certain amount about this, but there's probably a lot that they don't know. Their information is incomplete. So how do you deal with that with the public? These are all reasons that I think of why we're not just going to have some flat-out disclosure.
I think you're right. You know, from the standpoint of looking at, you know, cattle mutilation, human mutilation, all this stuff, it scares me because, again, you know, a lot of people, you know, look at law enforcement. They look at our government to protect us. Our military, for example, if all of a sudden the government came out and said, hey, look, Tom, we can't protect you or your family. It's a crapshoot. Maybe one day you could be abducted or not. Maybe they might, well, do whatever they do with human mutilation. We don't know. But if the government came out and said that, you know, it would be mass panic. And you're right. Yes. The government has lied to us for 70-some years, and probably even more than that. If you lie long enough, how do you reverse? How do you come out? If you came out tomorrow and try to even tell a little bit of the truth, people right now really mistrust the government more than ever, let alone if the government came out and said, hey, you know, UFOs are real, and we don't know if they're friends or not. I keep thinking the conversation I had with Ronald Reagan, that I had the pleasure of talking to him because my dad's friend was James Gardner, the actor. His good friend was Ronald Reagan. So I got to talk to Ronald Reagan, and I asked him about Star Wars because I was so scared about Star Wars because every day, you know, I grew up in Seattle. I'd get the Seattle Times, and it was talking about what if we had a nuclear war, you know, because in the Seattle area, Tacoma area, you got you got Bangor, you got Bremerton Naval Shipyard, you got McChord, you got Fort Lewis, you got a lot of military, you got Boeing aircraft, you got a lot of things that would be targeted. And I was scared about that. And yeah, I said, what is, Star Wars? Will it protect us against, the Soviets? And he goes, I remember what he said, that it would protect them, or it would protect us from them out there. And that stuck in my head. And, he gave a couple speeches, to, the National Assembly about UFOs, alien contact. It tells me that the government and some people knew more what's going on. He probably said too much to me on that. I didn't think anything of it till years went by. And then all of a sudden I remembered our conversation, Star Wars, and, protect us against the Soviet Union. His answer was, no, he didn't come back and say, oh yeah, that'll protect us against the Soviet Union. It was like, it'll protect us against them out there.
Right. And that's one of the things that Richard Doty has claimed, is that the Star Wars program was produced for at least a dual purpose. One was to, protect the U.S. space assets and protect the U.S. from intercontinental ballistic missiles, and the other is to protect us from the aliens, presumably. And if that was the purpose, it appears to be they haven't done a very good job, have they?
No, they haven't.
Or it's as good a job as they've done, it's ineffective. If that is the purpose and if that's being done.
Well, how many people would panic right now if they knew that with their family member that went missing was taken aboard a craft and never returned? I mean, a lot of people I would be freaked out.
You can't be a little bit pregnant on this. Once something is confirmed, there are going to be a million questions, and there's going to be no end to the questions and the attempts by the public to get more information. And if it is truly confirmed in a way that is credible, then any self-respecting investigative press people are going to start digging, and they're going to want more answers. It's basically an all or nothing thing. You ridicule it, you suppress it, you control it in terms of public perception, in terms of public understanding. You either do that, or you have the situation that you just mentioned. And in one version of this, whether I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a book put out by Robert Collins. It's called Exempt from Disclosure. That there's a story in there that an attempt was made to convince the government people to disclose this, and the claim was that they were concerned that there would be over 100 lawsuits.
I wouldn't be worried about lawsuits. I'd be more worried about what is going on.
Right. So
I don't know. See, here's the thing. You have Calvin Parker, Timothy Collin, Terry Lovelace, Dave Edmonds, a whole bunch of people that claim that they were abducted. Not one of them that I've had on the show ever said that their abduction was a warm, fuzzy, given abduction. Now, I've had some people, that I thought were credible. They had PhDs, they taught at a college, and then I had them on the show, and they said, yes, that these aliens, communicate with me telepathically. They're here to save us. There's 25 million cloaked UFOs circulating around the Earth, keeping the bad guys from, invading Earth. Then you start wondering, okay, this person needs help really fast. I just don't believe any of that type of stuff. I do believe, that there's people are so naive, Tom, that they think we're the only intelligent humanoids out there. Period. I don't buy that. You know, I really, like I said so many times on the show, this planet has been rebooted, I think, several times. I think we